And we're live, and you got to have some fun, right?
Absolutely.
Especially with the stuff we're talking about. So, hello, everybody who watches back on playback and those in chat. I know people are going to be popping in soon. Hi, Stephen. He's been here. He's our moderator extraordinaire for our lives, and we also have Allison. She'll be popping in. She's washing her hair before bed. All righty. Looking forward to your live with Cleo. So, um, as we get settled in, there's KK. Hi, Kari. So, yeah, tonight on Para Oracle, Cleo has joined me to talk about the Alaska Triangle because I know Cleo has a special connection in working with our alien ET star family, however you want to refer to them. And there is a great deal of corroboration for having UFO activity in the Alaska Triangle, among other things. So we'll be getting all into that. I see Chad is starting to jump. Cynthia, hello. Teresa Levine. Cynthia saying hello to you, Cleo. And there's Teresa Levine. So thank you so much. And Allison, make sure you get your channel listed in there. Aries Girl, I'm a joker. Okay. Yeah, those two know each other. We got to, well, we all know Allison and Cosmic Orphan. And, you know,
Well,
our
and I
happy,
do, I do work with Allison. We work with the
yep,
Mystic Four.
yep, the Mystic Four. You guys are awesome. And then I think you did a Unfiltered too with
Oh,
Gerald,
yeah.
the Cafe Unfiltered. So,
Yeah, we
yeah,
did.
hopefully I'll be able to join one of those someday. You guys have a
Yeah,
blast. I would
that'd
love
be
to be a
great.
part of the party some
That's a,
night.
it's crazy.
It is. Thank you, Stephen. So, alrighty. The Alaska Triangle. So, did you want to share anything, or you just want me to go ahead and rattle off everything that I got?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I always like to make sure that my guests go first if there's anything they want to share right off the bat. If there's anything, yeah, I just like trying to be a good hostess, making sure,
Okay, well, thank
my
you.
guests are. So, okay. And Gerald is here. Does someone mention caffeinated unfiltered? Why? Yes, I did. Boy, somebody must be work lurking or dinner lurking, cooking while making dinner lurking, listening. So,
Yeah.
hey Gerald, nice to see you in here. Um, yeah, KK, I love the caffeinated unfiltered shows too. And I just love Cleo when you go to pick up the naughty cards, and because you're so strict, you're sitting there and you're like this. You pick up a card, and then and it's just like it's hysterical. I mean, talk about stand up. People would be coming up on stage and going, what's with her? And then all of a sudden, I mean, yeah,
Well,
it's
there's a whole
funny.
bunch of things going on. I mean, I'm trying to take in my spirit guides, and my spirit guides are like, "What are you doing?
Woman,
What
they're
are
like,
those
have fun with
cards
it.
all about?" So,
So yes.
so yeah, I'm taking in a whole bunch of stuff, and that's probably why I look like I'm being serious. But really, I'm just trying to hear
It's
everything.
perfect. It is perfect because it's so unexpected. And then when you hit them, see, even Eleanor says the same thing. Love them and Cleo's reaction. I mean, it's perfect. You never see it coming. It's the perfect comedic little 1, 2, 3.
Oh, that's funny.
So
Okay.
Alaska Triangle. Wow, where to begin? So the Alaska Triangle. I can't pronounce the one name of the village, but there are three cities that it incorporates. We have Juneau, we have Anchorage, and U- Ukivik. And so starting around, well, actually, a lot of the things started happening around 1950. That was getting recorded, that people were starting to realize people and things and planes and stuff were going missing. In 1950, a military craft carrying 44 vanished without a trace. That started that. But the one that really caught people's attention was in 1972. And before I get to that one, because that's what really was the catalyst for people to start paying attention to this area. But since like 88, 1988, between 90 and 1988 started, 20,000 plus people have vanished. 16,000 missing since 1988, and that even includes children, as well, unfortunately. And they're saying right now, 4 out of 1,000 in Alaska go missing almost every year. And they say that's double the average. And so when you stand back and you look at it, Alaska, wild, of course, people are going to go missing from time to time. I mean, you have wild animals, you have, people that are doing, wild, what do you call that? I can't think of what the word was, but when you go out into the wilderness and you do that, like that really athletic, hiking and the climbing and, I can't think of the word I want to use, but people know what I mean. So they go out, and sometimes the elements, people don't expect, but even seasoned people are going missing. So you have the possibility of a natural disaster, like an avalanche happening, or some losing their footing and, disappearing into a crevice. You have the wild animals, but also there have been, for generations, of the native indigenous peoples in the area speaking about, Bigfoot, people having to move a village because of them encroaching on certain areas that are Bigfoot territory. So we have, the natural disasters, the wildlife given, yes, but then we also start having, the sightings of the UFOs that are reported there. We have the sightings, and, just from today and not just from generations, of Bigfoot. And they're realizing too that the Alaska Triangle lies directly in part of the ley lines. And so because of the magnetic energy that's in that area, it does affect people's compasses. They have noticed that people who go hiking, they say by 30 degrees, it can affect a compass. So they've got a lot of that same vortex, electromagnetic energy frequencies that wreak havoc on technology like they do in the Bermuda Triangle. And boy, I see some new people coming in. Hello, Patricia. Hello, Hershey. I think I saw, hi, Isadora. And I think I'm all Sherry H. Hello, Tom. Early Ritual. Hello, welcome, 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 everybody. So,
So the area that you're talking about, Alaska, is huge. It's way
mm-hmm,
bigger than Texas. So, and a lot of it is uninhabitable. I mean, it's just
mm-hmm,
a wild wilderness area. So all of those things you're talking about could easily be going on with aliens and UFOs, but especially the thing with the magnetic field. And that's kind of you brought that up. I thought, oh well, that was what I was going to talk about.
okay, well,
Because I feel that both the Bermuda Triangle, the Alaska Triangle, there's a couple other triangles around the world that are
mm-hmm,
definitely affected by the magnetic field of the Earth, and so that could answer for some of the reasons why airplanes and hikers, I mean, it just totally screws up their compass, and
mm-hmm,
when you're in that kind of an area, there's no trails up there. There's no,
mm-mm.
you're on your own.
It's
Um,
pristine.
you're
Mm-hmm.
crazy to take a hike in that wilderness, but if you've done that and you have to depend on your compass, and the compass goes crazy all the time. And the thing with the airplanes and stuff, again, I mean, a lot of the things that have happened. Did you say 60,000 people?
No, well, 16,000 have gone missing
16.
since 1988, but a total of at least now 20,000 from the most recent article that popped up.
Oh,
So,
okay. All
so
right.
they're
So,
saying it's like 4 people out of 1,000 go missing on a regular basis up there.
yeah, it's a very common thing. And actually, a lot of people go missing throughout the country, but in Alaska, it's just a fact of life up there. I mean,
Mhm.
they have to get around in small little planes, um,
Says in this, yep.
and no, and it's just so desolate. But yeah, a lot of people go missing. But I just lost my train of thought. Just a second here. um,
Take your time. It's a lot to process, really.
well, the thing with the airplanes, once they go down, trying to find them after that is very difficult because a lot of times it'll just snow, and you can't find anything in the snow. Um, and the same with the hikers. I mean, I feel like they just passed away on the trail. I don't think there was any alien things going on, but there's a lot of things that are happening up there have to do with that magnetic field that screws up the gauges and the compasses. And I imagine because it's so intense, it could also affect your thinking of how you're trying to do something.
Yes, they
So,
say it's like a humming, like a beehive. People have like rescuers that go up there. They said there's like a humming, like a beehive, like a swarm, and they can't
wow,
figure out where that's coming from. So that's
yeah,
probably part of it right there too.
it's coming from the magnetic field. Um, so when they're God, once again, I just had it and now I lost it. I'm trying to take in this conversation and this conversation.
Hmm.
um,
Well, it's definitely UFO activity. There's no doubt about it because um, people have been, starting to admit they've been seeing things, and they're even starting to catch video now of things that are moving. And back in what was it, the plane, there was a Japanese plane, where was that, there, yeah, no, wait a minute, now I'm going, huh, what, wait, what, I have so
well,
many
this
I'll let
that
you
that
continue.
environment would be perfect for the UFOs. That would be the best place to
Mhm.
hide out. And you know, I could see where that could happen. I don't have any psychic information on that right now, but I could see where that could happen. And I did read an article recently that said a lot of these planes that have disappeared, there's been melting of the ice up there, and
Mhm.
those planes are starting to appear. So now they know, at least some of them, probably not all of them. I'm just kind of surprised with with that many people that have disappeared, that they aren't tracking the trajectory of where these planes were at when they disappeared, where
Mhm.
these hikers were at when they disappeared. Um, Even if they ended up flying hundreds of miles in one way or the other, they should have a complete roadmap of what's going on so they can figure this out, because
Mhm.
that's an awful lot of people. I'm pretty sure that down in the Bermuda Triangle, you didn't come even close to something like that. And when they
Mhm.
realized that that was happening in the Bermuda Triangle, they alter their courses. They don't go generally in that area anymore. So,
Yes.
but I do feel like that with the magnetic field and in this mountainous region, and they have a lot of earthquakes up there too, that things get shifted around. I mean,
And
the earth,
volcanoes. They said it's very active up there. Well, it's not active, but there's a lot of like dormant volcanoes up in Alaska too. I think they said like 10 of them, if I remember correctly, something like that. Because people don't realize how huge Alaska is, and that amount of wilderness that has never been explored, fully developed, or anything. So just about anyone, anything can live and survive and not be seen for, you know, or even know that exists up there.
well, when you know that okay, the magnetic field comes about because of the core of the earth, and the earth is spinning,
Hmm.
and that's creating the magnetic field. Well, sometimes um, there is minerals and metals and stuff that get shifted around, that if you have enough of that, that will create this it's not a vortex, but it'll create this interference between the earth and the magnetic field, so that when you're just flying into the right place at the right time, those kind of things can happen. But I think up in Alaska, I think it's shifting. Plus, their triangle, by the way, is it's a huge area also.
Hmm.
Um, so, I mean, with the magnetic field, the shifting of the earth and that kind of thing. That to me explains a lot of what these disappearances might be, as well as just the weather and the terrain and the wilderness up there is just makes sense that could happen. So I see
Sorry,
it.
I had trucks going by with their thing off, and it makes that loud, and I didn't want people to have all that going into their ears, so I had to
Okay.
get up and close my window.
So
And
I
I
see,
think,
I see a lot of it as being environmental. I just can't believe that there's not a whole lot more research into it because of the amount of people, and they talk about the folklore. Is it actually, are those true figures? Where did they come from? Who are these people? Were they on planes? Were they on boats? What were they doing?
mm-hmm.
I don't see, or I wasn't able to find anything that showed any data about what was really happening with this. So I tend to not believe everything I've read about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I do see that definitely, I do believe that magnetic field has an awful lot to do
Yeah.
with it, as well as the weather, as well as the terrain. And when you talk about UFOs and a place to hide out, and that they may be underground, well, they would never be found up there.
Yeah. And I think you answered Tom's question really well. Why do you think all these places of high striations are based in triangles? And I think it has to do with the ley lines, the electromagnetic energy, and the way that it radiates out through, the earth, like you're saying with the minerals, with the core. There are a lot of places, like there's even one in Pennsylvania that's known as the Pennsylvania Triangle. I'm pretty sure it's Pennsylvania, where there is a lot of strange sightings. Um, especially with like up here with Alaska with Bigfoot, they're like saying that 1 minute, you see something there like a Bigfoot, then they vanish into thin air. So it's like people really feel that these electromagnetic energies are creating portals. There's vortices that connect different dimensions, and for UFO, I found what I was looking for earlier. Back in 1986, a Japan airliner flight 1628 encountered three UAPs, which is unidentified aerial phenomena, which is in another word, UFOs on their flight. And they were calling in saying, are you guys, these aren't military, what's going on? And people's radars and even military radars were picking this up. And these things, follow them, for like 30 minutes. And, when they try to change the course a little bit, they would adjust their course and follow them. They didn't hurt anybody, but this was definitely a UFO sighting. Do you pick up on anything why they were particularly following this airliner? What were they, attention? What was on that plane that you felt like they were drawn to follow it? I don't know if there might be anything specific or they just happened to be there at that time.
I just know that that UFOs are attracted to anything that has to do with nuclear energy or uh, nuclear stuff, just nuclear stuff, and they're always attracted to that. So when they saw, if they, yeah, I've heard stories too about UFOs coming up by airplanes, even passenger commercial airlines. So,
That's what this was. Yeah,
oh, okay, and so
a regular flight. I'm just shuffling to see if there
right,
was somebody on
I'm
board.
just thinking and trying to hear what I'm being told that well, whatever the UFOs are doing, they're not out to hurt anybody. They're not out, they may have just come into the path and went, oh, well, there's an airplane. I mean, they just, on the other hand, I do think they have the technology to like make themselves invisible so that when they do something like that, you can't see them. On the other hand, maybe they want us to know certain things. I really feel, the UFOs, the reason they don't land and come down on Earth and talk to us and stuff is because the Earth itself is a toxic environment for them. It's becoming a toxic environment for us. We have created a toxic mess out of the air, the water, every we've really done some damage, and it's
Mm-hmm.
and that would be the other thing the UFOs would be looking into, is how to direct us to change our environment. But even if the environment was pure, they wouldn't land here, because they come from, although I do think they look like people,
Mm-hmm.
they're a little bit different, because their environment their air is a little bit different, their atmosphere is a little bit different, their distance to the sun, their hours in a day, their time, everything's a little bit different, but it's the same kind of, it's two arms, two legs, a head, and all these pictures that you see of things that we think are aliens. I can guarantee you, you will never see an alien being that is not in like a spacesuit. So it is going to look different. It's not. It's
Mm-hmm.
like if you didn't know what a football team was, and they took a picture of a football team, and they're looking at them, and these guys got these helmets on and these weird things across their face, and they've got these
Yeah.
shoulder pads. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. Um,
Concept. Yeah.
the aliens cannot approach Earth. They can't fly around without being in a suit, just like we can't,
Mm-hmm.
and they would never ever land on Earth without being protected, because the minute they came on, they could die. So um, the
Yeah.
idea that they look like what what
Stephen said aliens are nudists. Leave it to you, Stephen.
yeah, maybe. Well, then the Greys would fit into that, wouldn't they?
I mean,
The,
there's so many different, ETs that are out in the galaxy. Their biome, their bodies and everything are going to need protection, because, a lot of what's on our planet could easily kill them, and so yeah, I totally get that. And KK said, Stephen, you sound like you know this from experience. But you know what? It was interesting. I was when you said that there might have been a person of importance on the plane, or nuclear, someone was associated. I pulled a couple cards. Of course, remember there was the three UFOs. I got the three of cups. So the three of cups for me represents the three UFOs, and this was peaceful. This wasn't like necessarily a celebration, but they were coming around to see who was on there. I got the Wheel of Fortune. I got the star card. So there was somebody or somebody's on there. And definitely these were the next two cards. I got Dominion. They were keeping very watchful eye on certain people that were in that plane. So I'm feeling that maybe that by being there, they were letting people on the plane know that they were being watched, that they were being, what I mean, looking after us, but kind of like letting the aliens kind of giving them a heads up, saying, yeah, we know you're on the plane. There might have even been, a protection, for those people that were on the plane. So I just wanted to throw that up and, toss that
well,
really
yeah,
quick.
that's
And I
very
got some
interesting.
interesting cards. Yeah. Especially that
So, are
Wheel
you
of
saying that
Fortune.
maybe the people on the plane were like military people,
There
or
might have been a scientist. Like you said, there might have been somebody connected with nuclear. There might have been a scientist. There may have been somebody military. But like you said, I got the Three of Cups, which is like a celebration. So it wasn't, and for me, it's a positive card. So it wasn't, they weren't there to hurt anybody. But it's so interesting, three UFOs, and I got the Three of Cups. So it feels like that they were following this plane, making sure that people were okay, or they were letting people know that you're being watched. You're being viewed. I mean, why else out of all planes that go around where only certain ones that certain UFOs will take an interest in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I thought that was really interesting. What plane, Heather? Claudia, it is, and this you can find this on the internet. The plane was a Japan airliner. This was in 1986. Flight number 1628 encountered three UAPs, followed them for about half an hour, didn't threaten the pilots or anything, or the passengers or the plane. And then within 30 minutes, they took off. So I don't know if they were protecting the plane as they flew over that area, because there were, you know, I don't know, that might be
Did
some.
all the passengers witness this as well?
A lot of passengers, there's been videos where people have, I mean, they followed the plane for like a half hour. And I remember Shannon and I watching, those other alien shows like Ancient Aliens and things, and the other ones, and them reporting, they're saying, what is this? Is this military? And they're trying to tell them, no, this is not military. And they're describing, the size of them, and they're following us, they're not hurting us. And some people, so it was really interesting, but no harm was done. They weren't threatened, or, you know, um, or anything. It was just almost kind of like they were being accompanied for some reason. Um,
Well, in the aliens I'm familiar with,
this is interesting.
they are not out to hurt us, and they never have been. They've been coming here for thousands of years. Now I know there's other groups and there's people that talk about abductions and things like that.
Yeah, I
I
believe those.
I myself, I mean, I know some people that believe they've been abducted. I haven't any experience with that, or have I received any information about that, because we've been spending so much time looking into the actual aliens that are trying to protect us from annihilating the world with nuclear things. Um, and
Well, I
then,
think there. I mean, I think there's some bad ones. I mean, can't have bad without the good, But I don't think. I think the good ETs keep us pretty much safe and protected now from, the negative ones. So
they
that's
do, but they can only go so far with it, because they're not, the good ones are not going to
interfere too
interfere
much.
in our evolution. But the other types, it's just hard for me to imagine people with aliens with that type of technology that could come thousands of light years away. That why in the world they would come to this planet and try to cause trouble, I don't know. But I mean, if they did pick up people and did experiments, and maybe they were trying to understand what how we're built differently than they are, and that
Mhm.
they know that they can't come down on Earth and walk in the streets. But I know some people think there are aliens that are doing that. I just feel that it would be ridiculous to think that their environment is exactly like our environment. It's not. It's a different environment, and so they would be built a little bit different than
Well, I
we
know
do.
that there have been people who have reported, seeing people on the street that they know are not of this world, that some can shapeshift into, a more human like form, but still people say, there was something off. They were a little too, people can just find, are getting that sense that you are otherworldly, and that, they are, amongst us. And I'm one of those firm believers, um,
And what would the
that they
purpose
do.
be? What would the purpose be for that? Why come down here and mingle amongst the humans? And
Oh, I think there could be a whole list of, well, for first of all, I know that the humans couldn't have possibly evolved as fast as we did without, intervention, from alien races. There's just so many stories from different countries and at different times of, people them coming down in crafts and taking people, it's just for me, there's just too much, information, that and if someone tells me that, I witnessed something that I feel was an ET guide or spirit guide or individual that came to me, or I saw them on a, and they feel that and they believe that. I have no way to prove it, and I have no way of disproving their spiritual experience. So for me, I try to keep an open mind to a lot of different possibilities, even though they may not necessarily make me feel comfortable or agree with my own. I try because everybody's experiences are so different.
Yeah.
We all have different spiritual paths, and for one person, this one particular ET might have felt like they needed to sense my presence, so I came down and I let them know how I could, that I was present, that I was there, and that's or something for them to think about and react to later, to know that I am a guide or I'm there. I mean, there's just so many different. I know Patricia says here they are interested in collecting info on our DNA for, because I know Patricia does a lot of light language. I think I'm not sure, Patricia, if you communicate also with ETs and our star family. Um, Miss Tara D, you're over. Oh nope, let me not get into that. Nothing to do with vaxxers here, but there were a couple of what with vaccines, all different things. Let's see. Patricia shared. I was on a flight 5 years ago and saw three triangle shapes in the clouds way up and thought they are not good vibes, but in general, I can't wait like Cac Mama and to me an alien. So Trisha, goes by with what with her energies, what they sense. Claudia feels that Earth is a big laboratory. I really think we are.
There's a giant petri dish too.
And a big food source, energetically. Yes, I know people talk about energetically. And of course, Patricia says this conversation is my kind of thing. So I'm glad you're having fun. I can hardly wait to meet aliens. I can wait. I'm not quite there yet. But there were a couple of things that I wanted to star. I've been starring. I know Leah. Can I ask if there will be plagues or deadly stuff released if or when the polar permafrost melts? Maybe the ETs will assist us in medicine. Do you feel that they? I feel like they already are assisting in certain ways with certain individuals, with medicines. What do you pick up on anything of that, Cleo? Them helping us,
Yes,
especially
I
if we
do.
put the
Yes,
intent.
absolutely. Yeah, they are watching us. They are observing. A lot. By the way, a lot of times when you see, not the one you're talking about where the airplane full of people saw something, but a lot of times the things that you see that are probably UFOs, um, are actually UFO drones. They're not. They don't have the little alien guys inside the ship. They are
I've heard
controlling.
about the drone. Yeah,
They are
that's
controlling their drones from their mothership, somewhere else, and they do this because they need to watch things, but they don't. They know now that many times they don't really need to be here. But like they're totally watching the war between Russia and Ukraine
Ukraine.
and the power plant, and they're very concerned about that. And they even back last year they had all these pictures of, they called them, they thought they were drones, and they were, but they said they were drone. After at first they said they were alien drones, and then a day or two later they said, "Oh no, no, wait, those are drones from China." Actually, they're drones from both. So it gets really confusing. But yeah, they come down and check on us without uh, they're not on the ships
Mm.
sometimes. But this thing about the release of the polar permafrost, that is really a scary thing. And yes, absolutely, that could happen. That there'll be disease and bacterias that we are not accustomed to that could be
Mm-hmm.
could infect us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that also, to me, it gets into climate change. We're doing so many things that we could be killing ourselves with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like the toxic oceans now, and this thing about this is something I got into about a year ago, which I just couldn't believe that, all the fish that we're eating, all the fish they're saying, whether it's shellfish or salmon
Hmm.
or tuna or
Mercury
whatever,
and stuff in it. Yep.
is got, yeah, is laced with
Mercury.
garbage and has mercury in it. And then I'm reading through it and it says
Yep.
but it's an acceptable level of mercury. There is no acceptable
Acceptable.
level of mercury. And so I just quit eating all fish after I read that and looked into it further. And I
Right.
just can't believe.
We had that issue in Flagstaff, Arizona, in one of the lakes. People were being warned, be careful that they were finding mercury in Lake Mary and in some of the fish. And so some people stopped fishing there because, and they're like, where's the mercury coming from in Lake Mary in Arizona? So, oh yeah, we're doing a lot of damage.
It's coming from industrial waste.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the thing in the regular oceans and stuff, I can't believe we've dumped
Well, look where
so
I
much
live,
garbage
Love
in the
Canal.
ocean. Pardon me?
I live right by where Love Canal was. A lot of people remember hearing Love Canal in the news up in my area where that one company was dumping, I think it was DuPont, was dumping all that toxic chemicals, and it started seeping through the barrels. People were getting sick. I mean, this made the news in, like, I think it was the 80s or something. And even like a few years back, down where I moved, we got letters from the EPA stating that well, some more barrels were found by you know, like a block or so down, and we're supposed to notify residents of their being removed. So they're still finding this crap, this toxic waste that they dumps up near where I live. And I'm Niagara Falls. I'm in the town of Niagara Falls. So they're doing all this dumping right next to this natural, beautiful wonder that we have. So it's like it's just insidious. It's all over. And it's been, people been trying to cover all the stuff up for so many years. And there are still some people who are still dealing with deformities or health problems and issues because of that, of where the dumping and the toxic.
Well, the dumping in the oceans is what
And
concerns me the
yeah,
most,
and it's like,
because
well,
we've got like 4 or 5 different countries, and the United States used to be one of them. Supposedly they're not doing it anymore, where um,
mhm,
they have such. I have this written down somewhere, but between um, the United States on the west coast to Hawaii, there's an area that is all the currents have drug all this stuff that other countries and us have dumped into the ocean. It
mhm,
has created such a mass of garbage. It is bigger than the size of Texas, and it's
mhm.
all there, and the fish are feeding off of this. And and you see different stories once in a while about a whale landing on the beach
And it's
stuffed full of
deformed and
plastic
everything. Yeah,
and stuff like that. I
plastic.
mean,
Yeah.
this is critical. Now, there was a question that you had uh,
Okay, let me
back
go back.
days.
I just put this up here because Stephen said Japan is currently to start discharging radioactive water from Fukushima, so don't eat any shrimp or shellfish.
Yeah, don't.
Um,
Absolutely don't.
was it this one
That
here? Because
one.
she had a
That's the
couple. Yeah.
one. I think this is the one. We'll be living underground or underwater. You know what? We won't, and here's why. Because in the near future, we are going to collectively. Well, it starts with the it doesn't just start with the United States. There's other countries,
Well,
but
we're
we
a
are
leader.
going
We
to
should
start
be
taking
leading
this
by
more
example.
seriously. So
Hmm.
we will eventually um, clean up the air, clean up the water, but it's going to take it's going to take some time. I don't know if I'll still be on the planet when this happens, but we are working towards that. So I wouldn't worry about having to live underground or underwater, because it's not
And
gonna get.
living and being in fear doesn't help us either. Living daily in fear of the future. We
Right.
can
Yeah,
work
no,
towards ways
the
of
future's
improving it,
actually,
but
it's looking a lot better than you might think, because right now it just looks like a disaster. But
and
as time we're going to fix it.
And what's frustrating me is, and I know I'm going off topic here, but there are so over the last like I think 3 or 4 years or so, there are a lot of young people who are creating these machines that can go in and clean up the plastics and clean up the waters, and they still keep getting hit with red tape to get funding to get money to create these things. There are a lot of people who are trying to do it, but for some reason, whether it's money, patents, greed, or whatever, you know, I mean, there are so many bright young people out there who have the inventions that want to make the difference. And I just can't figure out why they keep getting stonewalled and people are. They say, well, because it costs money to make these machines to clean. Well, so what? I mean, look what you're doing, destroying the environment. Who cares if you put in extra money to be able to clean up the mess that we made? So, a lot of people are worried more these days about profit, and are more concerned with greed and profit and stuff than trying to help clean up, the planet.
Well,
Um,
and you talk about these young people. It is the young people that are going to change the problems that we're having. It is definitely younger people. And I know what you're talking about. The guy that invented the thing that could go around these toxic dumps in the
mhm.
water and
Yep.
pick up all the plastic. And as far as I know, they're still working on that. However, it's so massive. It takes a lot of these little whatever he developed.
Yeah.
They
But
have
it's
to.
brilliant. You think people would be getting behind him and saying, "Hey, let's
Well, and
throw a lot of money in this.
there is some
Let's do
people
this." And
behind them. There is some
I
people.
hope
The
so.
problem is the generation of people. I mean, right now, President Biden says, let's all do electric cars. Everybody, that's exactly where we're headed. That's what we should be doing. However, the gas and oil companies, hey, no, they don't want that. They don't want you just to be totally going to electric cars because that affects their profits and everybody involved in it. The gas stations, the mechanics. I mean, it just
Mhm.
trickles down. So they want to try to stop that. I read in one state, um, and I can't remember the state, but they actually want to kind of ban electric vehicles. No, no, no. We have got to go to electric vehicles. And, California has said they want to make it so that it's all electric vehicles by 2035. That's that's ambitious, and I totally agree. I just don't think it'll probably happen that quick. But
Mhm.
things are changing with that, and our environment it is so important. But you got a lot of old school guys. You got a lot of people that got money invested in other things that they're making money on. That when you
Mhm.
start taking away cars and you start taking away how to do things differently because they're making money on doing it the wrong way,
Yeah.
they fight the whole thing. So there's and plus that calling it a hoax, Trump called everything a hoax, and that did not help. We were actually headed in a much more positive direction before he came in and said, this is ridiculous, this is a hoax. Just like the pandemic was ridiculous, and that if you took some experimental drug or shot yourself up with Clorox or stuck a light up your ass, that this was gonna this was gonna cure COVID. I mean, but
Yeah, horse tranquilizer or something, whatever it
yeah,
was. Yeah.
whatever that goofy stuff was. So
In vermectin or something. But Steven said electric cars aren't the answer. It's going to have to be hydrogen fuel cells, not enough rare earth metals for all electric cars. And that makes sense too. And Allison's right. Also, carpooling alone, in some areas should be enforced, even though nowadays with germs and people that close to each other. But yeah, we've really put ourselves into quite a pickle by,
well, in our
our
area in
doing.
Seattle, we've just put in tons of money into light rail. So you can get from city to city, you just about everywhere. Well, we've got a few more years to go on some of it, but and a lot of it, they do this light rail thing, which is perfect for the environment. It gets you there faster. You don't have to wait at a light. You just get in and the thing goes. So Yeah, things are changing that way too.
So just going to divert a little bit back onto the triangle because I thought these were some interesting stories. And the one story that really brought people's attention to the Alaska Triangle was a private plane back in 1970, October 16th. So it's coming up on another anniversary. So October 16th in 1972, a private plane carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs and Representative Nick Begich, along with their assistants and the pilot, vanished in thin air between Anchorage and Juneau. Immediately, 40 plus military craft and 50 civilian planes joined in the 36,000 hours, which equal to about 39 days of search rescue. So this was straight up vanished into, vanished in straight out like in air. I mean, the response was immediate, so there wasn't like there was enough time for a lot of snow or but it was an intense. I think they said it was one of the biggest up until that point was the biggest mass search um, for a missing military or government search and rescue. And one of the interesting now for me, I don't feel that was any UFO interference. Um, this will probably be for like another live out show. I was telling Cleo backstage, but the gentleman who went missing, Hale Boggs, he was actually a part of a committee or trying to form a committee to look into the JFK assassination. He didn't like the basically the story how it was explained. He didn't believe in that they wanted he supported a full investigation, and not long after he was trying to get this started is when all of a sudden, boom, him and his plane disappeared. So I told Cleo that seemed very suspicious to me.
Definitely.
Um, so that's the one that really started bringing people's attention around to this area. And then, because in 1950, military craft 44 completely vanished, and 90 another Cessna disappeared. So those could be, ruled out with, the electronics and things and stuff. But and another person of interest I wanted to bring up. Yes, that was an assassination, Leah. Um, was Pat Price. And I asked Cleo if she had come across him while she was researching, and she said no. So this is very interesting, and I want Cleo's perspective on this because I pulled some cards already. So Pat Price was one of the CIA's top psychic spies in the 70s. The U.S. found out that Russia was employing psychics for remote viewing of our areas, of our bases and things. And they wanted to jump on and do the same thing, get a program. So they worked with the Stanford Resources Group. And so the they started hiring people, psychic detectives basically for remote viewing. And at this time too, MK Ultra was also starting to be implemented through the CIA. We all know what pretty much that is. So the the project was actually called Project Stargate, and it was spearheaded at Fort Meade, and so it was remote viewing. And the viewing, they wanted these people because you needed a balance of the left and right brain. You need the intuitive along with the analytical to be able to basically review and then report immediately what they saw. And so Pat Price was one of their best and was really connecting. Because what they would do is they would give them coordinates, and they would have to focus on those coordinates, and the things that drawings that Price were doing were spot on to pictures that had already been taken surveillance with military drones or whatever at that time, or spy planes. And so at one point something called an attractor interfered during one of his remote viewings, and the attractor, this energy took his psychic view to a mountain in Alaska called Mount Hayes, and he saw down within underneath the mountain an alien base, and he was describing super advanced humanoid individuals, working there. Their differences compared to a regular human, and I wrote this down here. According to Price, the humanoid heart, lungs, blood, and eyes were different, but they were able to function otherwise like a human did with the rest of the anatomy, and however they didn't go into more specify, but he did say that heart, lungs, blood, eyes were different. Um, and his attention was drawn into there, and he was describing what he was seeing, how there were regular humans, military working with them, and so when he was done doing this, he started creating a file, and he up and died suddenly of a heart attack. The day before, he met with NSA officials to talk about what he had viewed, you know, whatever this private meeting that they wanted with him. And it gets even more shady. So the day after he meets with the NSA, he is discovered that he died of a heart attack. Well, he was having stomach problems. He had mentioned something written down somewhere that was experiencing stomach problems or whatever. But soon after, he died of a heart attack. And what was really shady is that the government was called in, whatever force it was came in, and they waited until they got the body, cleaned out the room, cremated him, and then notified the family that he died, so that there was absolutely no evidence whatsoever to point to anything. So that was very highly suspicious, and I definitely want to do an investigative tarot read on that. Unless I mean, do you pick up on him finding remote viewing a base underneath Mount Hayes? Do you pick up on that?
Well, I started just focusing on what you were saying about why in the world they would do an autopsy and clean everything up before anybody was notified. Oh my God.
And cremated him. His family couldn't even say.
Oh, they even cremate. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
So
just
he
like,
he saw something. They
putting a
needed.
rubber stamp on. Did we interfere? Oh, we did. Yeah, here we just cremated the guy. So now you just got to go by what we tell you. The remote viewing thing. First of all, what's kind of been on my mind here for a second, and excuse me for changing the subject, but I think her name's Sonia, asked about the electric grid and that we wouldn't be able to use the electric grid if we had the cars, if something went K-wire. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We're going to have self-charging electric cars. So you won't have to worry about that. All right, getting back to this guy.
Okay. And I'm going to go up and start looking where people have commented. So, gotcha.
So the yeah, I think his remote viewing should be looked at and paid attention to. It sounds a little bit out there, but then again, he might have been seeing something slightly. He might have been seeing an underground bunker made by people on Earth that were creating things. But it might have been also aliens. And well, yeah, it's just too bad this guy, regardless of how he went, it's too bad that he passed away. I would be hoping that there'd be more. Now I'm reading questions and trying to.
Sorry. I'll wait till I put those up. I'm just going to sit down and say hi to people.
So I would think that there had to be other people involved with this, and that it's interesting to me. However, I mean, because I've heard about the remote viewing and how the military and the telepathy and all this stuff, which is basically across the board, what we're doing is basically debunked. But when the military wants to use it to their benefit, or some other country wants to use it to their benefit, suddenly it's okay, but it's all hush hush. And I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, where are these people getting their information from? That the people that are doing the the viewing, the people that
Remote
are
viewing.
viewing. I mean, they've got to be getting it from spirit guides. I don't see how there's any other way that that could be happening without that, with doing the same thing we're doing. So, yeah, I think what that guy had going on was, he was going to expose something that they didn't
Mm-hmm.
want him to expose.
Yep.
And, yeah, it was totally underhanded and they killed him.
Yeah. A lot of yeah, I mean, every time you hear these stories about basically UFO whistleblowers and things, you find out somebody, suddenly up and disappears, or all of a sudden they have a car accident, and it's just it's disgusting that you know
Yeah.
that this is still going on. Hey, Courtney. So we have a lot of people been popping in. So do you feel that there? So I think I don't know if I missed you, but do you feel that there is a base underneath Mount Hayes, an alien base that he
Yeah, I
viewed?
know. I do. I do
You
feel
do,
there.
okay. Because I pulled some cards and I got the Empress, which is of course the Earth, Mother Earth, and I also got Swiftness. So I feel like things are moving in, moving out. Things are moving really quickly within the Earth in that area. I got Temperance. You know, they talk about the waters too. I think there's a lot of underwater bases as well. So for me, this is a balance between land and sea that's going on. I asked for a clarifier for that. And I got the Heyman, so it's going to be a different perspective of how we would view what possibly a base would be or how it could be set up. But because of that being there, I did get the strife card and I did get oppression. So I'm feeling like that area, I don't know if the base might end up, affecting some of the electromagnetic energy that might accidentally throw off, but that whole area there, there's still, and with the strife, it could be that they're there to keep an eye on the strife that goes on in this world, especially in this area, because Russia's right there and here we are. So that could be a very idyllic place to have an alien base if they're really keeping an eye on our nukes and what we're doing with them. So,
Well, and
um,
what I was feeling was, you're pretty convinced that it's an alien base.
underneath Mount Hayes, because people
Yeah.
see them coming in, out, the drones, or the drones coming in and out. And then Pat Price did a remote view and was describing what he was seeing. So, just in that area, and then the plane, that Japanese plane that was escorted right over through that area by, UFO. So to me, there's got to be something there because people are still getting sightings in and around that area of UFOs
So, and
or
that's
drones.
the problem. A little bit of a problem I have with that is, I don't know that it's necessarily all UFO related or all alien related. I
There's
don't
some
know that
government too. hmm
our government or somebody else's government isn't working with them.
Yeah,
So there could be more to that than just
yeah,
aliens.
yeah. Because Pat Price said he saw humanoid, but he also saw regular humans working with them within
Oh,
this structure in this space. And he
okay.
said the difference between them and us was the difference between the lungs, the heart, the eyes, and the blood that they had. But otherwise, they were able to work together. And I'm sure that there must have been plenty of precautions taken, so that our germs, didn't hurt them, and vice versa. Um,
Well, and that's the other problem is if aliens can't really come down here, land, and walk around because then they take whatever they picked up on Earth, they take it back to their
mhm.
ship or whatever, and that could totally destroy them. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical about how often you would actually see aliens on the planet. Seeing them up in the sky and flying next to that commercial aircraft, that seems a lot more reasonable to me than to actually have them on the ground. But the thing we're talking about under the mountain and all that, boy, that feels that resonates that there's something going on there. But I do think it's a mix of alien and some government, probably ours.
Hmm. I'm starting some comments. And Leah wanted to know earlier, do ET hybrids have souls? The ones that are, well, I don't know. First of all, there are a lot of people that do believe, I'm one of them, that there are, human ET hybrids. Do you feel that this is, well, from what your knowledge is in your experience, do you feel there is such a thing? And Leah would like to know if they have souls. I mean, I think everything has a soul.
I'm
Just I
not
think if
sure
it's,
what ET hybrids means. Are you talking about a mix of alien and humans?
yeah,
And
like that, like how we advance, there are human alien hybrids.
well, I say that anything that looks like a person has a soul. So yes, I don't, and I really believe that the aliens that are coming down and watching our nuclear sites and stuff, they have souls. They're very spiritual, and it's really kind of their job because they're so far advanced to watch over us a little bit. And they do slightly interfere, but they never interfere to where you can say, "Oh my God, there they were." They will do things to manipulate maybe people's thinking to not like, let's say the
Yeah, that's
nuclear
what that's
power
kind
plant where
of.
they
Mhm.
might want to blow it up. They will do something to interfere with that so that you don't blow it up. So they work that way, but uh they don't just come right down and just do they all living things like that have souls.
So I have a question, Cleo, then, because I mean, when people recount their experiences with abductions, these people are experiencing and remembering having needles and things putting into their stomachs and their bodies, and they can feel it. And so I know you said you don't believe that they do abductions and do that, but at the same time, if they don't do that, then how do these people have such strong memories and then find the marks sometimes on their bodies and things from these abductions?
Well, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that I don't
Okay.
have experience, and my guides haven't. We really haven't delved into that so much. But no, I think absolutely anything is possible, and I do not discount anybody that says they've had an experience like that. Um, Quite honestly, my sister-in-law felt like she's had an experience like of an abduction. I don't know, but what level about the needles and all that. I don't know what happened, but I just know that that's her reality. That's what she believes happened to her. Um, and so yes, I do believe that. I just personally don't have a connection with that kind of information.
Yeah, those are dark. Yeah, there are ones that are dark, but I know Scott Allen, Spiritual Lessons, he's very much connected with the ETs. He does a lot of Akashic readings and things, and he said that there was a time when, it was more prevalent for them, for the negative ones, to come here and do what they did, but we've had more kind, more protective ET families, well, I call them families, our brothers, sisters, star families coming in races, to protect us from that, to be able to help humanity. Um, not, I know, like you said, not to interfere too much, but to be able to help and protect us that way. So it's like, unfortunately, you have good, bad humans, you have good, bad, any sort of, living entity. And I think some of those, he said, and people said they come from more where it's not necessarily that they are bad; they are just indifferent. Some of them don't have the human emotions like we do. For them, it's just there's no empathy there.
Right.
That their species were not weren't created or didn't evolve into having empathy, and so that's why a lot of them that do the abductions and the experiments, when they hear humans screaming and stuff and know they're causing pain, they have no real concept of it. And boy, Leah is really chatty tonight. We're really on one of her favorite topics. Um, Let me see. Yes, they on their ship they create them. Yes, I agree. They have souls, and they chose this. I think there are some that, for me personally, I don't think there's some that choose, because I've heard stories where people are saying that, one minute they find out that, they're pregnant, and next minute they find that the child is gone, and they're in absolute hysterics. Sometimes they get to see, they're taken again for them to see the child. So I don't think it's always necessarily their choice, unfortunately. But I don't think there are as many races, hopefully, that's my hope, that are actively doing that. I think a lot more of the horrible things that are being done to humans is by humans themselves, because we are one of the worst species, to create pain and do evil things to one another. So I think it's, you know, give or take one or the other. Uh, it's on both sides. It creates fears. Yeah, it creates fear. Let's see. They want to go. Yeah, we're getting into that. Yeah, there was a famous case. Yes, Barney and I can't think of her name. How many times that they were in New Hampshire? I lived very close to the area where they were taken at one point. But Barney Hill and I think Sue something, and she remembers the pain. She had the memory, and they had the dress, and I mean, it was just, that was a very horrific experience for them. Um, I'm not sure about life paths, but they are confusing. Yes, they are pretty confusing. Let's see. Sonia said they really didn't talk about the crash in Aztec, New Mexico, as much as Area 51. Yeah, a lot of things are kept hush hush. Betty Hill, thank you. Benny and Barty, Betty Hill. Those are the folks in Exeter, New Hampshire. And I'm just looking back really quick. Tom said earlier, Bridgewater Triangle. It's in Massachusetts. So it's very similar to the Alaskan. People go disappearing. People are seeing orbs of light. Signs of Bigfoot. Mean one there, the other one there 1 minute. So let me ask you this too, Cleo. While we have you here, I'd like to get your opinion on this, your take. Some people feel that Sasquatches are seen more frequently when there are UFO sightings. So do you feel that the ETs um, moved them around, they created the Sasquatch, or do you think it just happens to be a coincidence that they appear around the same time? Because some people say they'll see a light or a UFO, and not long after, there'll be, they'll see something that looks like a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. They'll spot it. So do you think it just happens to be a coincidence, or do you feel like there's some sort of connection between, Sasquatch and UFOs?
Wow, that's really out there. I don't, I've
I've
never.
watched a lot of shows. Shannon and I watched a lot of these shows over the years. So these are all different experiences people have shared, and all this
Okay, all
information
right.
that's been
Yeah, I've
collected.
never
So
thought about the Bigfoot or Sasquatch being related to UFOs or to aliens, but
or
like
a
I
connection
said,
between them.
this
Yeah.
universe is so mysterious. Anything is possible. Um, and living in Washington State, we get a lot of talk about Bigfoot. You know,
Mhm.
they think they're out in the woods, and people have spotted them. And um,
My Shan has seen one when he was younger. He lived in Washington, in Oregon and Washington, and he saw one. He says they are very much real.
yeah, I ever since as a little kid, when I heard stories about them, I thought they have to be real because they found footprints, and then we
Mhm.
do have that one footage of a Sasquatch walking through the woods and stuff. And I'm thinking that's
Yeah, he
not
was
a
friends with.
guy in a Sasquatch outfit, a
That's real.
costume, you know.
Yeah, that's Shan's friend. He grew up with the guy who took the video. He grew up with his friend and was friends. So that was his friend's dad that took the video, that famous footage.
Wow.
And they claim it was real. It was not faked.
And so
And it's
Rocky after Sasquatch's ETs, I get a no, but that's just what I get.
Although,
Uh,
let me throw some cards for you, Rossi, on that one.
okay.
Let's see if I get anything. I have a couple different decks here. I did pull out Scott. I don't know if you know Scott Allen's Spiritual Essence, but he created his own extraterrestrial universe oracle, and he's got all different types of you know images that represent different races for let's see, he's got
Oh, cool.
vibration, Palladian energy of love and healing. He's included images, of artwork, so an entity. So yeah, he's got all different kinds of. So it's a really interesting balance of cards. So Rossi, I'm just going to go ahead and as the cards are Sasquatch ETs, and see what Scott Allen's cards have to say. And if there's anything else you want to talk about, or you feel like your guides want to share, go right ahead, Cleo.
Well, I never really thought about Sasquatch or Bigfoot being an ET. I suppose a lot of other people have. I don't really. You're talking an awful lot about theories that are kind of borderline conspiracy theories about the way things have happened. Um, I tend to kind of steer clear of that, but on the Sasquatch and ETs, I gotta know right away of
Hmm.
there's something else. I don't think they're ETs, but maybe Heather's going to come up with something different.
Well, this is interesting. I got prayers are answered, help is on the way. So I know that they are involved somehow with them. I'm not feeling that they are ETs themselves. The other card says that we are one, so we are all connected. So when it comes to our Sasquatch ETs, well, so are we, because we contain the universe. All alien races contain the universe. Everything on this planet contains elements of the universe. So I feel, really strong connected that that's how they want to address it. And then the last card I got was the Mount Shasta Lemurian energy. And I know we're not talking about Mount Shasta, but the card also discusses um, ley lines, earth power. So I'm feeling like sometimes they are seen because of that interdimensional shift. And I think because a lot of the alien craft use the vortexes, the energy, especially the wormholes, to get back and forth around the universe and around our planet. I feel that that is also probably a way that Sasquatch has learned to also use portals. And that's why I think a lot of people, these people too, that go disappearing on Mount Shasta in areas like the Alaskan Triangle in Massachusetts, that there are places where portals are very strong and people will walk right into them. And again, there are people that have disappeared and then they're later found like hundreds of miles away, or they'll go searching in an area. I remember one as a child, and I think this was one of the stories in the 411 with Pallades, that did that series, where a child went missing, and they went searching everywhere, and then on the way back they found him, and they were just a whole bunch of people were just right there at that spot. And the little boy had said, well, somebody that looked kind of like my grandma took me underground, but I was very scared. And so it's just very interesting, the the energies that are created on this planet because of the electromagnetic, because of the ley lines, the sun and the electromagnetic, solar flares and things that affect. So I think a lot of this is all interconnected. Um, so when our Sasquatches ETs, well, yes, but so are we. So is everything. I mean, we're all, if you really look at it, we are all of the same family, and I think that's what that card was getting at. We are all one. So in a way, with the way where it was questioned, that's their way of addressing it, saying, yeah, we are all one. If that makes sense. I mean, we're all, living beings in this universe, so we are all connected. We all share an energy life force, no matter what, race, species, um, plant, mineral, animal. We're all connected. Wait a minute, what's this near? Okay, Steven's in the middle of something. Never mind. They're talking about their hair removal. Oh, and they're waiting for a hairball joke. Oh my God, what am I? Oh, Cosmic Orphan. I think I dated Sasquatch's sister in high school. Oh my God. Steven. Oh, my chat. I love Steven. And I think too one of the reasons why they come to this planet is because the Earth does have, and this has been discussed on numerous shows and multiple shows, that there are certain minerals on our planet that that they need on theirs, and Earth is a place for mining. But like we want to leave the Earth and go to other planets like the Moon and to Mars and stuff, and we want to go and take over those planets and set up shop and mine and stuff there. And it's like, great, you destroy this planet, just go to another one and destroy another. I mean, it's just always looking for resources.
But that would make more sense when you talk about that base underneath the mountain up in Alaska. I mean, what a perfect place to go ahead and just dig around and get minerals out of that area.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure that any alien life form has technology that they wouldn't be hindered by all the mountains and I mean, it's just such rugged territory that wouldn't be a deterrent to them.
Okay, so Isadora had consulted her pendulum, because I always ask people if they have cards, pendulums, you know, throw cards and stuff and share, with us and what they get. And Isadora said her pendulum says no to Sasquatch being ETs, but we are all connected on an energetic level as, living, energetic, biological beings. So there is one question I am going to throw cards on. It was for Leah. Um, so Dr. Greer, he's part of like the Gaia channel, and he speaks a lot about aliens and ETs and all sorts of um he basically speaks very much the language of the woo. So Gaia is, a channel that, they have so many incredible, sometimes some things kind of make me roll my eyes, but it's just so many people coming together talking about past lives, ET connections, mysterious places, energy healing, the metaphysical basically. And so Dr. Greer is one of the leading people. I didn't know about this, trying to approach the dark ops that are working. Is he say, I don't know her, so I'm just going to throw some cards and see what I get. And Sonia, Sonia said here in chat, going to UFO conventions, listening to some who wrote books and did some conventions on the whole experience, including viewers, was quite an interesting. Yes, I have a friend in Washington who's seen them. Okay. And and really quick, Patricia says, my experience of Yowies is what they call them in Australia, is that they are time travelers. So in Australia, they believe that the Sasquatch, which they call Yowies, are time travelers. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Patricia said, so on our property, we there. Wait a minute. She was typing really fast. Wait a minute. I'm having a hard time reading that. So on our property, we there sometimes, and I would get that there were golden lions up in the boulders, and so I wouldn't go up there. Oh, so they warned you? I'm not quite sure what you were writing there, Patricia. I don't know if Siri manipulated, because we all know how Siri and autocorrect work. Um, but she says her feelings up there with them was very loving. And Leah said, I drew the card from the angels, drew a card from the angels and ancestors. So how do you feel, Leah, that means about Dr. Greer? I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to ask if Dr. Greer is going to be safe. I'll try to expose the dark ops.
This is really fascinating stuff, and it's a lot of stuff that I've touched on in the past, but that I'm not really that far into. But I have to get going here in just a
Oh,
few
okay.
minutes.
Oh, I didn't realize what time it was. I'm so sorry, Cleo.
No, no,
We were
no,
talking
no,
and
no, no. That's
talking.
fine. That's fine.
But really quick for Leah, I got abandoned success. So I don't know if Dr. Greer is going to abandon it or they're going to abandon him, but I also got the Hermit card, which makes me think of the Druid as well, going in retrospective, and I got an unstable effort. So if he does try, I think he's going to be blocked. So right now, I'm not seeing really any positive cards for him bringing anything out into the open, but I don't get the feeling just yet from the cards I pulled that he's in any danger. So she also got the Eight of Cups. Eight of Cups is the beginning of the Hermit. So, alrighty, there we go. And everybody, thank you so much for being here tonight. I know it was a very interesting discussion and conversation. I love it. Cleo, thank you for being here. Cleo is actually going to be with Allison and I Friday night for our sidekick show.
Yeah.
So we'll be seeing Cleo again. And Cleo, do you have anything coming up this week with the Mystic Four or Unfiltered or Caffeinated?
Oh boy,
Anything
I
coming up?
do. Let's see. Where did I put that information? Yeah, yes, I do. I do have some stuff coming up. But yeah, the thing on Friday with you guys, and I guess that's also Allie's birthday. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that birthday thing. But just for everybody that knows Allie, you want to go on there too to celebrate her birthday. And then after that, in October, we're going with the caffeinated unfiltered with Tarot Stash and
That'll be fun.
and that always is fun. It's craziness. We have a great time. Um, but yeah, and then after that we have the Mystic Four coming up in October too. So yeah, the whole
Lots
bunch
of
of
fun.
stuff. Plus my sister, Colleen the Cool Crone, she's coming back on to YouTube. She's been she's been doing these Renaissance fairs and
Fair and
stuff like
Sterling.
that.
Yep.
And so she's going to be done with that like around the middle of October. And so we have a bunch more shows coming up with that too. So yeah, I'll be here.
She's around. She doesn't have any content yet on her channel, but keep subscribing. And when she does, you'll know automatically when she does an upload or when she does a live on her channel.
And by the way, I'm getting very, very close to that now. I've just,
Woohoo!
yeah, it's getting closer and closer. So yes, thank you for mentioning that.
Yes, stay tuned, and thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for joining us this evening, and everybody have a great rest of your night. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.